I mean, all of us overestimate how good we manage our money. It's just like cruising nicely, best decisions ever. But if we're being honest, your bank statement is probably looking at you like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, we actually just take credit for almost everything. And it's sort of normalized in society that, you can use credit to buy food. You can use credit to buy clothes. You can use credit to go impress your friends. And I was like, that's not how rich people use credit. They're busy accumulating assets that will generate an income for them. My mom kept saying, why would you pay someone else's bond? You could, you could actually have your own bond. And I'm like,
Welcome to another edition of Mindset Profits. I am super excited for this one because a combination of things are happening. We're launching the first masterclass today. This is day one. But before we even kick off, I have a special guest who decided to come before we start shooting. And I am with Ufulu Felani.
oh my God.
I tried. Fulu Felani.
Blow a candle.
Fe.
Fe.
You said
Fulu Ferani.
Fulu Felani.
Ferani.
Aye.
Oh my goodness. I knew it.
I'll just say Fulu.
Yeah, it's safe.
What do your friends call you?
They call me Fudu.
So the team saw your book
Yeah.
and they laughed at the title
Yeah, they did.
because it's powerful and funny at the same time.
Yeah.
It is Mind Your Sense.
Yes.
Not your dollars, not your rands, not your millions.
The sense. The sense. Yeah.
Why?
I guess I wanted people to start realizing that in order for you to have good financial habits, it's not about having a lot of money, but the behaviors need to start when you have as little as you have today. And if you don't have the good financial habits today, even if we give you millions, you will end up on a blew it. That was the whole idea. You need to start minding the cents. They matter. Over time, they accumulate. They are the ones who form millions. So they do matter.
I like. Can I tell you why I brought you?
Okay.
The first time we met was at a radio station. A friend of mine invited you to the show.
Yes.
When I was listening to you speak, I think halfway into the interview, I had a sense of pride because I was thinking, wow, Africa is blessed.
Wow.
We have smart young people.
Of course. I mean, of course.
We
yeah.
have smart young people and the future looks bright.
Very bright. Very, very bright.
All right. So you are like another female, younger version of a guy who's coming here as well today, Percy Singo.
Oh, yes. I
Or
know
you
him.
know him.
Yes.
Who wrote Make Your Salary Work For You.
Yes.
And you're one of those people that keep a full-time job, have a salary, manage it well, build your portfolio,
Yes.
and then live long enough to teach others.
Of course. We teach as we go. I mean, the best way to actually master something is to learn it, understand it, teach other people. And I think that's where my journey started. I just sort of felt like, maybe if I'm a bit older, then I'll be like, there was a lot of imposter in that. Who am I to even start addressing this issue that's been dribbling our parents for years, right? Like our parents still struggle with money today. And I sort of felt, no, the best way for me to really be well acquainted with money is if I can learn about it, understand it, practice it, and then teach other people. And I feel like where I am right now, I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't be as disciplined as I am right now had I not taken the obligation to teach other people how money works.
Beautiful, man. How do you describe your journey, though? Your journey to this book?
My journey to the book. I wouldn't call it a coincidence because I don't really believe in like things just happening for the sake of happening, but I wasn't really intending on writing a book. when I started, it was just, hey, my friends and I are transitioning from university to the world of work. We don't know how adulting works. Nobody told us how adulting works or how it's supposed to be. So we're just going to wing it. And as we make mistakes, learn stuff, we will just sort of have a little community where we teach each other things. And that's how the YouTube channel really started. And from there, after like a whole year of just like releasing content, I was very consistent when I started. Like every single week I was releasing a video. People kept asking me the same questions. And I realized, okay, in as much as there's a video out there, it might be really great to just have a book that you can refer to. And that is basically how Mind Your Sense came about. And I just started a 3-year journey of writing the book.
What mistakes were you seeing young people make that just stood out for you and you say, you know what, I need to do something about this?
I think just how our relationship with credit.
Oh, okay. Go deeper.
How we actually just take credit for almost everything. And it's sort of normalized in society that, you know, you can use credit to buy food. You can use credit to buy clothes. You can use credit to go impress your friends. And I was like, that's not how rich people use credit. They're busy accumulating assets that will generate an income for them to make them even more richer. They're using it as leverage. But if you're coming from a poor background and you haven't really had those conversations with your parents and you've never seen your parents use credit in a good way or build businesses that actually thrive, that's like a mindset that's really far from you.
It is.
Yeah, so we normalize, oh no, I took this on credit. Oh, I just got this cute fit. It's on credit. Bought food at Woolies, it's on credit. Bought this, it's on credit. And it's like, at the end of the day, that credit works against you and not necessarily for you. Because, I mean, you buy clothes on credit, in a year's time, you still owe for Sheeny.
And some of them are gone.
Some of them are gone, or like
they don't fit.
They don't fit anymore. You've changed sizes or something. So it becomes like really important to then say, no, your relationship with credit is not great, and you need to work on that. Yeah.
All right. So when I'm listening to you, I'm listening and thinking, you sound very well articulated, very
goodness.
smart. I'm going somewhere with this. You sound like those people that have never made a mistake.
Oh no.
So
oh my goodness.
Your financial history from school, varsity to work, was it a perfect transition? Since you started creating content early, or there are some glaring mistakes that you've made along the way?
I mean, I'm not perfect, that's for sure.
So There are
mistakes that I've made. There are some decisions that I look back today and I'm like, maybe you shouldn't have made that decision hastily, or like you should have taken your time to make that decision. For example, my decision to buy an apartment. I look back now and I'm like, okay, in the long run, it's going to be a good investment, but like, maybe I didn't have to buy it then. Maybe I needed to rent a bit longer.
Squeezed a lot of cash flow out of your pocket, right?
Yeah, there are those decisions. I'm like, I question a lot of decisions that I make because I'm like, okay, I also have my own sort of like money behaviors that influence the ultimate decisions I make. And I'm like, okay, where was your heart at really when you were making this decision?
I want to hear one of them.
I guess... I think the first one, the apartment is a big one. I look back now, I'm like, okay, it made sense. You know, it's like my mom kept saying, why would you pay someone else's bond? You know, you could you could actually have your own bond. And I'm like, I get where she was going with it though, and where she was pushing me. But I kind of felt like, I was only 3 years into work. At the time, I look at it, I'm like, I could have used my levers to just invest in shares every single month.
Yeah,
I would be very far with that.
That was a painful realization for me as well.
Yeah, like
when you get into a place, you pay 10,000 to the bond, you pay levies 6,000 with all of these things, and you're thinking, if I was renting a place like this, how much would I be paying? And you think probably 8,000.
Yeah.
And if I was investing the rest, and you put in an investment calculator what you could have done in 5 years, and you're thinking, okay, maybe I'm not as smart as I thought.
Yeah, you look at it, and I also feel like it's a thing of we glorify sometimes owning things, right? And I think even when it comes to property, it's the same thing. But if you're looking at it really in the short run, it's like renting makes sense. And then in the longer term, when you're thinking, okay, what would my portfolio look like? Then you would actually thank yourself for making that decision to say, okay, maybe the levies and everything else were worth it. I can't really see it now, but maybe in the long run, they were worth it. So
yeah, well, I
it's
guess
one
there's
of
other
those.
factors like where you bought the property and what you end up doing
Yes.
with it and stuff
Yeah.
that can come into that. But I'm curious though, because you mind your sense, you've said you can start small, you can start where you
Yes.
are.
Yeah.
Right, what was the passion behind it? Let's go to one of the chapters. What's your favorite chapter here?
I think the budgeting chapter already.
Why does it stand out for you?
Because I feel like a lot of people don't put enough thought into where their money is going. And if we can put enough thought into where our money is going, then we might actually realize the mistakes we've been making all these years and be inspired to make a change. I mean, if I ask you, like, what's the one item, like, you overspend on, right? And I ask you the actual amount, chances are you're going to tell me an amount that's 50% what the actual amount is, because we're lacking that self-awareness. And that's where it starts. Like, if you can't identify a problem and acknowledge that a problem is there, then how are you expected to solve it? So you need to acknowledge that I have a clothing issue, or like I have an Uber Eats issue. Like, it has to start there. So that
I have a
next
coffee
time,
issue.
yes, I have a coffee
Like
issue.
By every morning,
Every
stop
morning.
on my way to work.
Or even some people, it's like 3 times a day. But it's like, if you can't identify the issue that you have, then what are you doing? You know, you go on under this facade that you are managing your money well. I mean, all of us overestimate how good we manage our money. It's just like cruising nicely, best decisions ever. But if we're being honest, your bank statement is probably looking at you like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, you're one of the biggest overspenders I've ever seen. So it really has to start with identifying where the money is going, and is this where I want my money to go in the long run? And if not, we change course and we direct it to something else.
How has the reception been when you try and educate other young people on how to manage their money? Don't they say, who do you think you are?
No, actually,
That type of language.
No, quite interesting. People actually, what I've realized ever since I released the book and I started creating budgeting things on social media, is that people do acknowledge that they do lack in this area and they can do better. I have a lot of people like every single day asking me to help them with their budget on my DMs. And I mean, there are time constraints and things, and I'm trying to also just make that as part of my product offering to say, okay, we can have the services because there's a need for it. But I think people actually acknowledge that there's a need for this thing. Like, it's a serious thing. And, you know, someone would be like, yo, I earn money and I tell myself I'm going to be saving this much, but like I end up not doing it. And it's like, okay, it means maybe your budget, what you have in mind and what you're actually doing, they're like completely different. And we can't just have a plan and not follow it and expect to have the same results that we expected to have when we were planning. So it's like, okay, let's have a conversation. Where's your money going? And for a lot of people, when I ask that question, they don't know. Yeah.
Oh, so it starts there.
It starts there. Yes. Look at your bank statement. I mean, I know people who are like, I will never look at my bank statement. And I'm like, that's the thing. What you can't conquer what you can't confront. You need to be able to confront your own, you know, spending habits, your own little behaviors that you do that are fighting against you.
I like that you figure that out early on in your career. I was talking to another teacher, Uvangile. She's amazing.
Yeah.
I'll connect you.
Yeah, I don't know her.
She is
Yeah.
awesome. You love her.
Okay.
One of the hacks that she was teaching
Yeah.
in an event, she says, one of the tips I'll give you is every day you need to look at your bank statement for 5 minutes.
Of course.
The room was
Painful.
like, no.
It's a painful experience. I see it. I see it like when I sit with someone in a coaching session and I'm like, okay, let's look at your bank statement. Because if I ask you, what are you spending on? You will give me an ideal of what you should be spending on. Not necessarily
what's going on.
So no, let's remove you from the situation. And it's painful seeing someone like come to realize that actually I'm not really great at this. Yeah.
And I don't like how I feel when I look at
Yes. Because
what's
we
on the
sort of
statement.
know. Yeah, we sort of know where the money is going.
But we prefer to keep it at the back of our mind.
If it's not confronting us, then it's easy to deal with, so we avoid it altogether. If it's not in my face, then I don't need to know how much I'm spending on coffee every day. It's easier that way. But when it's in your face, it's painful. Even when you're buying that fourth cup of coffee, you're just like, oh my God. Like
This is going to be
this
3,000 by the end of the
3,000
month.
right now. I'm not happy with this. So it gets you into that place. And we don't like feeling that way because, let's be honest, we would all love to have unlimited amount of money where we can just spend every day and not have to worry about it. But that's not the case.
Let me ask you a challenging question.
Interesting. I'm ready.
Don't worry, it's not to Jola Novat.
Oh my God.
You're very safe.
Yeah.
For young career professionals that you're talking to, or just young people that
Yes.
are getting started, how do you advise them when they come and say, the reason why I'm not progressing is because even if I'm starting and I'm earning, I've got so much responsibilities. Parents are not working. They're always asking for money. What many will call black tax.
Yeah. Boundaries.
Yes.
Boundaries.
You've heard those, right?
I've heard those a lot.
How do they present the
Boundaries.
questions to you?
It's normally like, what's funny is when it starts, it's not necessarily the parents asking for these things. But I don't know what it is. I also had to like overcome that when I start working, in that the way we are raised as African kids, right, is, respect your elders, listen to your elders, and like we find ways to honor them. And I think the most natural way to honor your parents when you start working is, I know how hard you worked to raise me. I know the sacrifices you actually made for me to be where I am. And for that, I'm grateful. But it's that gratitude that somehow now sort of spills over to us going over and above. I don't know what it is, but I've seen it a lot. Us going over and above to show that we're grateful. And sometimes even to our own detriment, because we then start behaviors or start doing things that we cannot sustain in the long run.
Or create expectations.
Create expectations. And the minute you create an expectation, it's very difficult to change someone's mind. If you are coming to me every month and you're giving me 10,000, and 10,000 that I didn't ask for to begin with, and then suddenly you stop, what do you expect? I'm going to call you and say, hey, you forgot something. You didn't give me 10,000. And I kind of feel like you've created this expectation, right? So in my mind, I expect you to continue. But when you gave me the 10,000, say the first 6 months of work, you were never considering buying a car. You were never, like, you were still pretty much living as a student.
Then you get an apartment and
Then
a
you
car.
get an apartment, you get a car, and you start realizing, okay, life in Jersey can be something else. I want to explore. I want to do this. And then we start resenting our parents because they keep expecting the 10,000 we were giving. But we actually never had a conversation with them. We started doing these things because, let's be honest, doing stuff for your parents or your family members, it feels great. Like, there is a certain pleasure that you get from doing that, which, it's very easy to continue because you're like, yeah, I mean, I can take care of my family. I love where I am. It makes me feel good as a person. But if that gratitude doesn't have wisdom in it, it has the potential to actually turn into resentment, and it will feel like an obligation. And then you will hate getting that call from your relative because you are actually that person who gives them money every single month when you get paid. And when they expect it, now we say, oh my God, my family is unrealistic. They're unreasonable. They want this. They keep wanting this. But at the end of the day, it's because you didn't put those boundaries to begin with, and also didn't pay attention to expectations that you were creating to begin with.
What about the opposite? The those that you didn't intentionally, or you didn't even create the expectation.
Yeah.
But they just come and emotionally blackmail you.
Another
Shana,
day.
I
raised
used,
you.
I raised you. I used to
Yeah.
save your family. You guys were broke. I kept
Yeah.
helping you.
No. You know what I do with those ones?
Yeah.
I intentionally would do one big thing for them.
Okay.
And then the other times when they come, if I don't have it, I'll say no. Because at the end of the day, if every single time they come and I say yes to them even when I do not have the money, then I'm also creating an expectation. So I intentionally, I know, Malume, I appreciate you so much. And then we will have a beautiful conversation. And I'm like, yeah, I remember that one time you bought me school shoes. The parents were wishing they didn't have money. And you pull through, Malume. You did pull through. And for that, I will forever be grateful. You're part of my success. And I'm so happy that you did that, because maybe I would have been walking barefoot to school. But you pull through, and I'm really, really grateful. But Malume, this month, Joburg, it's tough, eh? This month, no, it's not coming together. And on months where I'm good, I will see you, Malume. But this month, no. I think it all stems from our inability to say no.
That's what I was thinking while you were talking. That I think a lot of people, why they would struggle is saying no.
Yes.
Is painful.
Yeah.
Saying no is difficult, especially if you have an image that you want to keep.
Of course. Now they're gonna, Malume will start seeing you as a broke nephew who's working in Joburg. Very broke. And
ignore this car. We are going.
But that's okay. But that's okay. I would rather have people think that. I would rather have people think I'm broke, whereas I know in my bank accounts and my investments, I'm smiling.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, I would rather have that, because I feel like it's also a thing of social media, right? We all want to look rich. Right? Like, and of course, the one fancy thing that can show people that I'm rich is the car that I drive, is the places that I go to. Because I'm not going to be walking around with my apartment, let's be honest.
True.
Yeah, unless if
You're not going to be carrying your investments, your shares.
Yeah, like your shares, and I'm going to be like, hey guys, Alan Gray, hey, you're not going to be doing that.
Yeah.
But like, it's the clothes that I wear, the Gucci bag that I'll be holding. That sort of
Those
gives
we
people.
see.
Yes, that gives people an indication of, okay, she's moneyed. But I've got a friend like is like filthy rich. But if he comes here, walks in here, you wouldn't know. Like the kind of money that's very subtle,
Quiet.
That's very quiet. That's the kind of wealth I aspire to. The one where you would overlook someone and be like, probably.
And the person is confident in themselves. Because they have nothing to prove.
They have nothing to prove. But a lot of us, because we grew up lacking, when we start working, we fight so hard to be seen, because we were never seen before. So now that I have a salary, they must know. My aunts, uncles, village members must know I have arrived. I am getting paid right now. And I mean, honestly, if you're going to make your financial decisions based on what other people, how other people should perceive you, then already you've lost the plot, because everything else that you do from there on is for other people and not for you. You're not thinking about building wealth. You're not thinking about, the future, the impact you want to have on future generations. You're just thinking, I need to show them that I'm doing well. And sometimes it's not true. How many people are actually trying to prove that they're doing well, who are actually doing really well? Because what I've seen is people who are really doing well have nothing to prove. They are doing well.
And
they don't need your approval.
Just confident within themselves.
They're just confident
they have
within
no gap
themselves.
to fill.
Yes. And it doesn't mean like they don't spoil themselves and they don't, like buy great things or expensive things for themselves. I mean, some people might be obsessed with watches and stuff. You might be able to pick it up from that to say, oh, geez, that's like a 120,000 watch. Yeah. But they're just wearing a normal T-shirt and a jean and you wouldn't know. So it's like, it doesn't mean like we are stingy towards ourselves and stuff, but it's like, I'm not trying to scream and shout and tell everybody how much I have in my account. Because I know how much I have in my account and I'm confident in whether you know or do not know, that doesn't take away from who I am as a person. Yeah.
Do you teach elders?
Adults? I do.
How does that conversation go?
It's funny.
What can you teach me, child?
It's funny. I had this client. She's in her 50s.
Yeah.
And I remember she reached out on social media and she was like, yo, I'm such a mess financially.
Wow.
And I would like to have a conversation with you.
What courage from her.
Yes, for me that was so humbling as well, because I'm like, you like more or less my mom's age, and so like this is very interesting. But I always try to make my sessions very funny and like very chilled, like non-judgmental, to just allow people to be able to express themselves, like for us to be able to connect and really get to the root of the issue, because I feel like they wouldn't be helped by the session if they come in and they pretend to be what they're not. Then we will never get to address the main
How are you
issues.
going to tell me at 50 to not pretend? Are you still going to say, let's check your bank account,
Yeah, wait,
Baba?
that's the standard. We start there, and I feel like what I've seen is just going through someone's bank account. It opens a level of vulnerability that I don't know. Like everybody, after I see their bank account, their bank statements, they're just like, man. And I also do this, and I also do that, and I do this, and I do that. It's like now I'm naked. Like there's nothing to hide. And for me, that's actually really liberating because that's where we can actually do the real work. Instead of you coming in and presenting a picture to me that you want me to see that's actually not true. Then we get into a session and we are basically solving a hypothetical person's problems and not necessarily your problems, and that doesn't help you. But when we go to the bank statement, it will be like, oh, I didn't realize I was spending this much. I'm like, I want you to see it. I want you to realize that this is what you're doing and you actually have money, you're just not directing it to the right places. And after that session of going through the bank statement and all of that shandies, and it's just like, you've seen everything now, can we work? And it's so liberating.
How is it though as a child with the adult? I'm still curious. Emotionally,
but-
mindset, where are you when you're talking to someone who is that much older?
I feel like I don't see it as I'm talking to someone who's much older. Because we sort of expect that older people are supposed to be wise, right? Wisdom comes with age. But what I've seen is that's not necessarily the case. You have to be intentional about these things. You have to be intentional about you being self-aware and the lessons you're learning along the way. Someone can be like 50, but like still have the emotional intelligence of a 4-year-old. Very possible. So for me, I think in like just teaching around financial literacy and stuff, I've come to realize that it's not a matter of age. There are some lessons that I've learned that someone who's way older haven't gotten to them yet. And when I get into the sessions, I don't see a 50-year-old. I just see someone who wants help with their finances, and we take it from there. Find a point to connect, allow them to be vulnerable, no matter how old or young they are. And also, I'm not trying to shame you in the session or like make you feel bad about, oh my God, you're 50 and you don't know how to budget. No, it's not a judgmental zone. I'm not there like passing judgment all the time. I'm there to say, okay, what's actually really going on? I'm trying to understand. And I think a lot of people just want to be understood. And if you can connect with them from that level, I understand where you're coming from. I'm not judging you, but I also in the same breath, I believe you can do better. And people want to do better. We all want to do better for ourselves. So we find a common goal and we work towards it, regardless of whether they're 60 or 50 or whatnot. It's quite interesting. We are all kids somehow.
I like where your mindset is around it, which makes me curious about the next thing though, which is working with someone who is in distress, like they are drowning in debt, they are anxious, stressed and stuff. Have you had those?
I've had one. She was going through a divorce. And what's funny for me is, like I made cases where, I've never been married. I've never been divorced. I'm there like, I'm just a child. I have those moments in my mind where I'm like, oh my God, I'm just a child. And I think what I've realized is, a lot of the times it's very easy. Like if someone is coming to me and they have kids and we have to say, for example, plan, do a budget or whatever, including kids. What I've learned over the years is to have empathy. Because for someone without kids, advising someone on financial matters, to someone who has kids, it's quite different. I like the empathy because I don't have kids of my own. But like as a parent, you want the best for your kids. Like it's very easy to like overstretch yourself because of your kids, right? So I need to be able to sort of get where they're coming from. So in those sessions, what I do most of the time, I try like to listen more rather than like talk more in those sessions to sort of understand what are the emotional dynamics behind some of these decisions. The divorce one was actually the first case, and I was just like, sure, I've actually never put much thought into how emotionally, financially, just all of these things, mentally draining a divorce is. Like you see other people's stories and you like, the easiest thing to do is to judge. Understanding where someone is coming from, that's really challenging, especially if you've never been in their shoes. So sometimes I'm like, okay, we go through the session and like I try and understand what they actually need. And I'm like, I will get back to you. Sometimes that's what I do. We spend a whole entire hour just exploring different things, getting to know them, getting to know what they're trying to do, understanding where the shortfalls are. And I'm like, I don't place the burden on myself to give them the answers right there and then. Sometimes I just need to consult with like an older friend or something to say, this is what I'm thinking, as a parent. How does this work in a family setting? Like outsourcing, where I know like never been married, never had kids, never been divorced. So there are some conversations where I acknowledge I won't be able to like navigate or sail through, in as much as I say, oh no, I know budgeting and stuff, I know all these things. So in those moments, it's like you also need to just be a bit more empathetic, be more understanding. It's like a very thin balance between this is what you have to do, like, hey, cut, don't do this, don't do that. It's also like, okay, this is going to be a journey and I want you to walk with me on this journey, and we sort of solution for it. And sometimes I'm like, even during the week, if you find something or whatever and you are tempted to do something, send me a text. For those people, I'm like, okay, you need to show up more outside even just a session, because there's a lot happening. Sometimes it's like there are so many decisions that they're making as they go. It's like, okay, if you need me or if you feel tempted, just drop me a text, we'll have a chat, things like that. So I kind of look at it as a journey, because it's actually like things are changing almost every minute.
How are your parents treating this, looking at you becoming so wise so early? Because you're figuring stuff out that many, I'll tell you, even numbing a confessor, I think to get to the level of where you are, probably not so long ago, and there's mileage here. It took a very long time. Yeah. I'm kind of jealous with you figuring this out when you're this young.
In my early ages, yeah. I sort of feel, one thing I'm grateful for to my parents is they've nurtured different versions of me in different years and different seasons. And I sort of feel like they saw how gifted I was from a very young age, and they allowed me to explore sort of my gifting. I've always gravitated towards older people. Like, I can have a great conversation with an older person and I would feel like I'm your age. Like, I don't know what it is. I feel like I'm your age, and I love this. And I think that has been my walk, my journey. I've walked with a lot of older people, and my thing is I don't need to experience some things. I just need to learn from other people, and I'm very open to that. So that sort of allows me to learn and like grow and like process a lot. I do like a lot of writing, a lot of processing while writing, and I'm like, okay, I see this is sort of who I am, and this is like what I struggle with. Okay, this is what I can work on, and all of that. And I just take it as it comes. And I think my parents have also now, because now with their finances, I'm the one saying, nah, we're not doing that. My dad is about to retire. And I'm like, we're not just taking that money anyway. What are you doing with the money? I'm the one who's like, okay, we're going to set up sessions with wealth managers, and we're going to discuss how you are going to manage this money, because I don't want you ending up on my bluewood with your pension. Exactly. And they allow me, and I think they realize like I know this stuff, and they're like, okay, we see, we respect it. That is
good, eh?
Yeah, we respect it. My dad is like, okay, so what do I do? And I'm like, wait, we need to get advice from those different people, and then you and I are gonna sit down and really like figure out what to do. And I think them being open to allow me to do that, I also feel like then when I meet other people's parents, it's easier, because I'm like,
distill that to advice that you suggest, not advise other parents on just parenting. If I can put it in a short sentence, how to raise a daughter or a son like you.
Oh my goodness.
The art of parenting. What would that blueprint look like? Clearly they did something good.
They did something right, that's for sure. And my mom always says she feels like I'm going to struggle if I get a daughter or a son who's like completely different from me. And I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, I will struggle. I would definitely. But I feel like I didn't really need much parenting. Okay, I did. But like, I wasn't wilding. I think I've always been very driven, very focused, and like always knew like I knew what's right, what's wrong, and would definitely go down the right route. But I think where it was a bit challenging, I think for my parents, is I had a lot of passions. I was doing arts. I would do poetry. I would do different things. Like I was good in maths, and then I'm doing public speaking, and it was like there was a whole lot of things that I was doing at the same time, and they gave me the permission to explore each and every single one of those things. They supported me throughout, and not even in a single day where they were like, you need to choose one thing, or like you doing all these things, like just what do you want to be. They never put that pressure on me. They always allowed me to be like, okay, explore, and then if there are people that are doing what I'm interested in, they would connect me to those people, and they would continue to nurture those interests. And I think it made me sort of also become confident in, you know, the things that I love and just pursuing them, because I knew that they supported me throughout. Like if I tell my parents today, I'm done with actuarial science and I don't want to be an actuary anymore, they'll be like, what do you want to do? And I'll be like, maybe I want to try out investment banking or something else. They'll be like, do you think that this is, you know, the right decision for you? Why are you doing this? We will have the conversation. And at the end of the day, I know I'll walk out of that table with 100% of their support. Even if it's like a partner or something and they love the person so much, and I tell them, I don't think that this is the person for me, and we will have a sit down. And it doesn't mean they don't give advice. Like they are, I mean, I'm still a child. I don't know everything. They will advise and say, but you know that people are not perfect and all these things. Do you feel like, let's weigh these reasons that you bring to the table? And if at the end of the day, they see that this is not for me, they will fully support me. So I'll say, support that child. Like support them in every way possible. But also where you see that guidance is needed, you offer guidance, but just allow them to spread their wings. Don't clip their wings. Allow them to explore.
Not clip their wings.
Don't
There's a
clip their
statement
wings.
you say there. I think that's a big takeaway for me as well.
Yeah.
That you will talk to them, you will negotiate, you will deliberate. But one thing you always know is when you walk away from that table, you're walking away with 100% of their support.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
100%. I know, 100%. I know my parents support me like in my craziest things. I have the craziest of ideas. They will be like, oh, that's amazing. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, go do it.
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't think I can. I'm scared. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm still a child. I think that's one of the most beautiful things in our relationship with just my relationship with my parents, is that as much as they know that there lies wisdom in what I do, and this is sort of the space that God really has purpose for me to be in, they still acknowledge that I'm a child. And it's like sometimes I would be scared. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. They're like, no, you can. Go do it. And that just gives me freedom and that confidence to say I can actually do this.
That's beautiful. It's been good, man.
Yeah.
Let's get into your book.
Oh,
before
yes.
we wrap up.
Okay.
One of the chapters you talk to is making savings fun,
Yes.
exciting.
Of course.
Talk to us a bit about that.
South Africa, we just have a bad savings culture. I mean, if one thing the three-pot system showed us is that we do have a really bad savings culture. And I think for a lot of people, I mean, what I've seen is people don't actually prioritize saving, right? It's the spendings. South Africans are big spenders. But when it comes to saving, if you ask people, how much do you have in savings? Very little compared to, you know, the salaries that they're earning. And for me, I was just like, okay, let's find a way to make it fun, you know, make it like a goal that you are attaining every single month, or something that you and your friends can come together and try keep each other accountable. To say, oh no, today, this month we're saving this much. Okay, cool. Did you do it? Oh no, I haven't. Oh no, you're lagging behind. Let's do it together. So also bringing in that sense of community, because
so these are the strategies that you talk to.
Yes, these are the strategies I talk to say it's actually really easy to save 100K a month. Do it with your friends, you'll see. And these are the different ways you can actually achieve that goal.
One is the saving with a friend. I can see how it can work, and the accountability. Doesn't it depend though on the friends that you have?
Of course it does. Which is why I always say, if your goal is to be a billionaire, then you need to have billionaire friends and also have friends who are trying to be billionaires. You need to have those common goals. I have different group of friends or sets of friends. And there are friends that I do spiritual stuff with. There are friends that I do physical activities with. There are friends that push me, like the friend of mine who's very rich. Like they push me to want to get to that level. You know, there are friends that I just talk, you know, self-development, self-improvement stuff, and they keep me grounded and they keep me like motivated to want to do more. So you need to have different sets of friends. This thing of you can only have one friend, I think I saw Trevor Noah talking about it. This thing of you can have one friend and expect one person to be your everything is impossible. Like I also can't be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
So if your goal is to run a successful business, then you need to find friends who are also trying to run successful businesses, but also have friends who have already ran successful businesses and they're like at the peak of their entrepreneurship journey. If you are trying to be physically fit and have six packs and things, then you also need to have friends who have that goal. Because now if I'm trying to save 100K and there's a friend of mine who's trying to spend 100K, it's not going to work.
All right. So this is not the other type of podcast content, but it's a thought that ran through my mind.
Okay.
You'll tell me if you don't want to answer it. I'll allow you.
Okay.
Would you date a broke guy?
Wow. What is broke?
The way you understand
What
it.
is broke? Would I date a broke guy? Interesting. What is broke? Hectic. Okay. My thing is okay. Are they happy being broke?
Okay. Not sure. Maybe. All right. Let's say a guy where the possibility is you will make 5 times more in terms of earnings.
Okay.
And the possibility of them being insecure-ish.
No.
Because you are.
No.
Girl is flying.
No. I kind of feel like even in the past, some of my relationships didn't work out because of that, and I've learned my lesson. You know, love is not enough. I've come to a point of appreciating that love is not enough. But at the same time, like I'm in a profession where chances of me earning higher than my partner
are
very high.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, they're very high, right? But also it comes to what I've realized is it boils down to, are they confident in who they are? I mean, a lot of men identify as providers. But in that situation, chances are
Providers,
I'm going to be the submissive provider in that situation. And are you confident in who you are as a person? Are you mature enough to be able to realize that in as much as she's earning 5 times more than me, I'm still a man in this relationship? Those dynamics are quite interesting. And
do you have these conversations with friends though?
I do have these conversations with friends. Like
so you guys do advise each other.
We do. We're like, it's probably not gonna work. It's just like if I go now and I try marry a security officer, right? It's gonna be very interesting. I mean, does he have the confidence? Chances are no. What those relationships might result in is emotional abuse, because it's like a power struggle. You know, I've identified myself as a provider. Now that I can't provide, I need to find a way to subdue your power under me in one way or the other. And it's not going to be a healthy relationship. But if you find someone who's like, chances are they're not earning, they're not earning as much as you are, but they have the drive and the ambition, and they're confident in who they are, and they're also trying to build something, and they kind of see it as, we can grow together type of vibe. In as much as you might be doing well, it inspires me to do well, but it's also not like a competition type of vibe. Something like that can probably work. But it's very difficult to actually
balance it.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I think the minute you start identifying yourself as a provider, then we're going to have a problem ultimately. Chances are we are going to have a problem.
Beautiful answer.
Yeah.
Smart answer. It's as expected. All right. So what can people look forward to? Just give a high level overview of the book. We only talked about 2 chapters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many things in the book. I think what I love about it is very practical. So even when we talk about budgeting, it's not theoretical, it's practical. It's giving you the practical tools to know how to budget, giving you the practical tools to know how to save, how to invest. I speak about stock files a lot because my mom actually like did a lot of things using stock files. To say, stock files are not just for you to buy groceries at the end of the year. You can save towards your kids' education. You can build wealth. You can invest in properties using stock files and stuff like that. And also I cover like buying your first car or buying a car in general, whether from a dealership, secondhand, or an auction. I cover all those things to say, these are some of the things that I see people not being aware of. So when you go do it, these are some of the things to be watchful
the mistakes,
of.
the blind
mistakes, yes. I just document my full journey as well to say, this is what I did. My dad gave me like a whole entire list to say, when you go to the dealership, these are the questions you need to be asking them about the car you want. Because I was like, as long as it looks cute and looks good on the inside, I'm ready. My dad is like, no, there are so many things to a car that you actually need to take into account. You need to know the full consumption per 100 kilometers. How does that look like? Okay, what does this thing come with? The warranty stuff, all those questions. He was like, you need to understand the engine size. I'm like, what am I doing with an engine? I just want a thing that moves. He's like, you're forgetting where you come from. We come from the Bundus, the mountains. There, you need like a strong car for those places. So it's like, really practical tips, and there are a lot of stories as well. It's not a manual guide. So every chapter sort of comes with a story, and I love writing about things I've experienced. So my own experiences, my own sort of like blind spots going into some decisions and how I sort of identified them, or maybe I identified them with the power of hindsight. Are they even buying my first property? Mistakes I made. It's right there. Things like insurance, because I specialize in insurance. So, we don't need 10 funeral covers. I mean, how many times are you going to die? 10 times? No, you're going to die once. So one is enough. As long as you're adequately covered, it's actually enough. So life covers as well. I mean, in our black communities, we love funeral covers, but we don't love, life cover. Yeah, and I feel like it also defeats the purpose, because what we are trying to do with our 10 funeral covers is what a single life cover can actually do for us. You want to leave something behind for your family, then get a life cover, and then please stop killing each other. Like, yeah, the insurance fraud.
Oh,
I mean, it's becoming very Rosemary, and there was that police woman now recently. And I'm like, come on, guys, you're giving us a bad rap in the insurance space. Like, no, wait for the time. They will die eventually. We're all gonna die. It's certain that they will die. But like,
don't cover your relatives and then
no, man. Like, what are you
speed up their
doing?
death.
No, don't be the accelerator of someone's death.
Or cover them and start praying.
No, guys.
No,
no.
Do something.
It will happen in their time. So yeah, things like that, and credit life insurance as well. Things that during the pandemic, we were just like, credit life insurance. But I feel like we saw the value of that product during the pandemic, where people were getting retrenched. It's like, okay, now at least if you took out a loan or took out something and you had credit life insurance on that, then it can pay and sort of relieve that pressure. And what's funny, what we see even in our insurance space is how poor black people, or like maybe middle class or whatnot, the ones with a lot of credit don't actually have protection against their credit. See, rich people, when they buy these fancy cars, they're covered. They make sure that they have the credit life insurance in place.
Can you explain
anything happen? So it's basically the bank saying, should you die, should you become disabled or unable to earn an income, there is a policy that can actually cover, either it's like, okay, it can be covering you for temporary or permanent disability, right? So if it's temporary, we'll cover installments for the next 6 or 12 months. So in that time where you are not working and maybe your employer has reduced your salary, you're still pretty much able to keep the same lifestyle. You're still able to make your bond repayments, your car repayments without stressing, because already you're under like distress, you're disabled. But if you are permanently disabled, you get involved in a car accident and you're not able to do what you were able to do before, so you can't work.
Or lose your job.
Then they pay off like whatever it is. But normally with losing your job, they'll just wait for like 6 or 12 months to pay, and then you have to look for a job as they do that for you. So it's like, you know that you're adequately covered. It's not a thing of, if I am not able to work anymore, then I'm losing the house, the kids are losing everything. So it's like, it's covered. And we need that, especially if you're trying to build wealth, because if you lose all these things, just getting the money to actually, build everything back up, it's going to be very difficult. So, yeah.
Man, this has been good. This
It's
has been
good.
good. I have one more question. What's your vision with this project?
With this
'Cause
project,
Mind your sense.
mind your
Because I
sense.
believe it's important
It is.
and there needs to be a big vision behind it. Where do you see it?
I would like to see it with all the high school kids in South Africa.
That's a smart idea, actually. It
I
should.
would like
It
to see it
should.
with all the high school kids. Like, these are the things we should be focusing on when you're in high school. So that by the time you get to, because I feel like you sort of start experiencing intro to adulting in university. Like, that's where, they're giving you a stipend, your parents are not there. Now you need to sort of start figuring these things out. And it's sort of like a very controlled environment. And then when you start working, it's like we're unleashing you to the big, wide, wild world. You need to sort of figure out everything. But if we can start equipping you from high school, get you thinking about these things, get you knowing about the different bank accounts that are out there, the different investment options that are out there, just the process of buying cars, understanding credit scores and all these things, how to manage credit. By the time you get to university, when you now are tempted to take out that store account, you sort of know the interest rate chat around those accounts and how if you don't pay them, they can damage your credit score in the long run. So high school kids. So if you guys have millions and you are connected with high schools, let's chat.
I love it.
Of course, let's get the copies to every child in South Africa.
Love it.
And even
I wish
the
you all
broader
the best, man.
Africa, yeah.
So we'll call you for the masterclass.
Of course, you have
Give
to.
you a flip chart and then you get to really proper teach.
Of course, I love teaching, so
I look forward to it.
Would love to.
Man, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I enjoyed this.
Yeah.
Thank you for hanging with us till this time. If you want the book, we'll put a link to her social or website. What?
The website.
We'll
We
put
have
a link.
website.
Hey, okay. Sisters has a website. We'll put a link to the website in the description. But otherwise, I hope you have enjoyed it as much as we did.
Yeah.
See you on the next episode. Thank you.